Where things are when they are not happening. Membrane, Part 1. Naming the dead on slabs of stone or plaques on benches, names chiseled from the mouths of marble statues, will not grant their return. Infinity's classic cult of anonymous cadavers will crack the landscape's cyclical smoothness, where even the towns forget their own names, assume aliases for passers-by. Names are the same in any language, just like screams. Insomnia allows me to try on different pronunciations of breath. Where to look if not the looking glass, monologues in the room of mirrors, characters all scripted with their name before each line. Such a spectacle, this miracle of being alive. Membrane, Part 2. The psychoid unconscious is now awake, an imperfect work after an opus. Something came back tainted, a jealous chimera that reserves judgment, a fetus that consumes its own twin. Keep the lines in place, the transparent wall connects and divides. Is it true that the only comfort is love? A membranous meeting of hearts, sourced from the remotest of galaxies. Do we salute or separate, something worse than a silhouette, living out eternity? Every day more crowded, which plant, which hunt, within the molecular clash, the plural, no possession, question after question, a structured scuba dive song, losing its own religion. I send poems to the muscular body, see how you censor breath and speech at the same time. Write to yourself. Your body must be heard, overheard, and held. I overflow. My desires have invented new desires. My body now knows a herd of songs. I aim for magnetic attraction that is very consuming. A delta force flood, a massive spill. I used to look for that masculine power, the one I thought I needed, the one I thought I was entitled to. I dance so full, I feel it re-amplified, permeated into skin, feel burn when lovers unravel under their own moons. I purge from you, triggered and spent and full and happy, a nodal charm, but I reach sadness because love let me down. And in this swell, I pull under from our ankles when we were content floating, facing Hades, our fears, the underworld, our worst witch, our childhood trauma, divisions, nightmares, ghost sightings, sleep paralysis, the argument of night, the desperate need for isolation to play around with masks of identities, a sensitivity that settles in its swing of tears. As the pain vibrates, it invites in the love, the lovers, the friends, the fuel, the present tense of touch and taste, and small gifts tied to the third eye, like carnival light shows in outback deserts. This is the kernel, the core, the crunching under the thick of Earth's magma. Love, love at the heart of the Earth. One source energy, a pulse that promotes peace, stifles tragedy. Earth shows us how to fill up from within, shows herself how to mimic, to suck at her own wrists for solvent, to mine our bodies, a process of ejection. My body has taken its bash. Asthma spirals, exasperated, medicinally controlled to emergency rooms and double dosing. Puffers puff their course, corticosteroid, corticosteroids. Everything is about to blow. Mind and spirit now rising. Astral projection on low oxygen levels, a speedy recovery to follow. Inflammation of the imagination. The turn of filthy organs, seasoned only on one side. We all need a moment to be light again on a yacht in Cannes after dealing the density. Life lived through our feelings in centrality rather than through our intellects. What a strong mechanical cure. Do not try to contain people now that they have been contained before. cutting shadows from clocks, a white gazelle waking by the lake. It all ends and begins here. Even the gutter agrees, a poor isotope, forever friend or forever foe, the excitement of something new, or the retracting, retracing over old misery. Split it in two and share out the seeds. Daydreamer, night thinker, I am baffled by mediocrity. I am promiscuous, I can't keep secrets. I am a fool for love, I am a fool for being here. No insignia, no weapons, no barbarian powers at all. I am an Art Deco caterpillar, clumsy enough to look up and see my own eyelashes. The final editing of my final book will be interrupted by my death. I dream without volume. Membrane, Part 3. Scientists say their prayers. Saints in paintings have the lips of liars. They start out thin and have been starved for centuries, kept alive and afloat by reserves or restoration and pools of popular culture, a holster of broken promises, always within reach. These moments of departure, watching you leave, like staring into the sun when there is snow in the hills. Noticing me now, for the first time, in minutes. Under the skin, we chant old DNA patterns, ancient traumas, often Malsifium invades, killers exercising pressure points on the body to put their victims to sleep. Sleeper cells lined in the outskirts of each district, each window waiting for the signal from their souls, as distant as the sound of galloping horses on a canvas. Flood warnings in other distant places, the world's waters breaking, long laborious seasons served their incubation time. Birds descend from the sky as if by parachute, land like they are on skis, take to flight so quick after bore of the grass, the curt leaves, the hibernating worm. Let me bloom inside you, like a narcotic flower, feeling for rapture through the empty night, only to wake up one day to a new face, my body stretching slowly to fold into a shaft of sunlight, astringent, soft and seductive, knowing all the right moves for pleasure, the right angles for posture. Live full, die well, agitate our death denial. We hide our corpses, warehouse our elderly, and fixate on youthfulness. Life seems sated if death is postponed. But in our locus of consciousness, we all know the impermanent self cannot be made permanent through such accoutrements. Viruses and millionaires replicate. Now we can be electronically handled, with no freedom of assembly, without anarchy retracting claws. But disaster liberates solidarity and insulates love. We have lost sovereignty of our bodies in the security state of liminal lockdown. All hugs and handshakes and carnal liberties ushered into virtual physicality, pin-ups in the web of life, cosmic makeup, cosmetic shake-up, night falls on desolate junctions. Elsewhere, another slide experiment. People find ways to be together. A baby cries under a bird's watch. I have forgotten what this is like, to listen to other people's noise. Islanders are the original isolators. We have all been islanded. What do we need to carry on our backs to brace storms? Each tiny house with windows that reach out to the sea. To be totally surrounded and receive a bandit's luck of gifts washed up on the shore into our hands, our embrace. What materials can we source from what we have already been given in our separate land and pod? There is beauty and growth in relatively barren circumstances. Even in the most desolate, harshest environments, there is life. A membrane separates the interior cells from the outside environment, stops salutes going in and out. It controls movements of substances in and out of cells and organelles, cells signaling to each other, look up, A prism of prisons hook up to the main line, the skyline, the safety barge of filtering media. We choose what we conduct, infiltrate truth through permeable barriers, wake up the maestro in our cell self. Spirit self stands en garde. Stand back from yourself, this tissue between regions. Men manning the membrane, hiking up the sails of skirts, touching the untouched first. Where was my body's border control when I needed it? Neutral or charged, a woman decides, but a girl knows no invitation. How does this live on in the cells, in the memory, in the streets? Stagnation, stale nation, curled larvae, cruel chrysalis, long stills, a green so green each pigment swallowed a jungle. Turn the empty wine bottle like a telescope. The luminary astral world of lockdown lies at the end of a lens. To step back, to sleep, to appease the oppressor. Malignant egos don't make noise or waves or love through the rain of cardinal terror. Mother thinks we will all emerge with webbed feet. Membrane, Part 4. Slave traders are dragged to harbors. They have been holding their breath. Now they are drowning. The black body lynched and rolled. The smashing of glass in the middle of night, shafting into temporal vanishing points. It is art in its destruction, like our chaotic fabric of living, a universal compulsion to capture the now, televised and viral in collective conscious stream, cult disposal, hyper-awareness, erasure, removal of the foul-smelling dead. More than 21 grams, a dumbed-down necrosis. Airwaves run the post-digital radio, the revolution in the air. Faces of statues subdued, they have no say, their lips wielded shut with bronze and pollution and false glorification. Braided bodies, an assemblage of physical form, more rigid than fluid, but the model becomes the object it models. The transfer becomes mobile, effigies and totem poles, the burning man, this hammock doll, Guy Fawkes, scarecrows and puppets. How do we interact with it? The protests, the water opening its jaw, mold rising in closed restaurant kitchens against fingerprint and polished chrome, hives save lives, save statues, save slaves, save slave. Churchill is in a box and the elders do not need to nap in the afternoon anymore. Local produce is delivered, the angry ones march, the quiet ones get quieter, as window frame streetlights are outwatted by the misty June light. A summer of scandals, of rubber bullets and mouthless, noseless faces, protection and disguise, and the threat of viruses like terrorism never really goes away. Coping mechanisms become more inventive, snaps at hard water. Even the rain feels calcified, the air oxygenated, daylight doused in a milky film of propagation, stalks snipped under pageantry of seasonal skies, the impure cure pulled by its hair, its roots. Placebos on a clutch. Don't look back, they say, or down, or now, or away. It must be exciting out there, the danger, the adrenaline, the riots and songs of cheer, the candles swaying above boombox ballads. I imagine myself on a rooftop, smoking, watching it all, some vast city, born and born and born again. Because suburbia has stopped using verbs, has stopped their applause. Nature is untrammeled by human suffering. Life lives on, slower, amplified, cherished, bricks and mortar, an impulse for more garden furniture. And in the eternal present, I dream of takeoff. 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 Forgetful 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 of takeoff. Of takeoff.